Welcome to the Refined Strength podcast. This is our first episode that we recorded together, and I'm excited. We're going to go over some rapid fire questions. We get a lot of questions just like in general about us, and like we get some, so we're just going to...
We're not extremely prepared.
No, we're not. We posted a story like 5 minutes ago to try to get some questions, and we got like a few, but not that many. So we asked ChatGPT, and so we have a few questions.
All right,
let's go over. So rapid fire. First question is a good one. What are some strengths that we contribute towards each other's businesses?
I feel like I provide a lot of creativity for you. I just have an outside perspective on what you're doing, but also a broad sense of understanding of what you're doing. Knowing a little bit about coaching, or just, it's not a very complex scope of work.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to give you some insight and perspectives that you don't always see, just because you're in it.
Yeah, definitely.
Just move.
I know. And then strengths that I contribute to yours, I'd say like probably just the consistency of just like your mindset and just being strong and like holding steady on what you need to do, and just reminding you that everything's going to be fine and you're going to figure it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Just like kind of giving you the confidence that you have it, and I know you have it, and that's why I give that to you and just like remind you of the confidence you have.
Definitely. And I found a good groove last year selling homes, and then now with investment type opportunities, things are just new again.
Mm-hmm.
Question two.
How do we support each other as just people, not business related?
That's a good question. I saw on somebody's story the other day, just simply mentioning allowing the other person, your partner, to be who they are. Mm-hmm. And meet them where they're at, having an expectation of how you want them to be and conforming to that. But more so, like I said, just meeting the person where they're at and appreciating them for who they are, loving them for who that person is, allowing them to express themselves as they would. And to me, that's just the easiest thing, the easiest way to live together without having conflict, because there's never anything that we're trying to impose on each other.
There's no performing for each other. There's just being each other and letting the other person be ourselves.
Yeah. Fun fact, that was one of the earliest conversations Rachel and I had, was this is me, love it or leave it, because if you don't like it, sorry.
Yeah. We literally were both coming into meeting each other for the first time, having that wanting to say that, and I think you said it first, and I was just same. I'm not changing for anybody. Yeah. And this is just I like my life how it is, and I'm just here to have fun and hang out.
On that topic, I think too many people they see something in somebody. How do I word this? They see a person, first of all, for their attractiveness, physical characteristics. And then they have this idea or this vision in mind of what they would want that person to be for themselves in a relationship. And so they pursue that relationship and try to alter that person and who they are to kind of fit that expectation that they had subconsciously created before ever even getting into the relationship.
Yeah, which is crazy, because if you don't like the person how they are right now, then don't stay with them. Just go and find someone who is who you want to be with right now, instead of trying to change a person who's already who they are.
Next question.
Favorite date night activity?
Honestly, I love when we just really have no plans, and we just kind of wing it for the night. We'll grab dinner and go. I love the nights when we take the dogs to the park, or get dinner, go to a bookstore and just aimlessly wander, go look at houses, look at trees.
We like trees.
Just drive around Dallas and just, and talk and listen to music. And it's pretty simple. Those are enjoyable nights.
That's probably my favorite too. And just I don't know, anytime that we can just have no expectations and not have it be too specific and strategic of a date. I think you've helped me a lot in just letting go of planning some and just like having fun driving around, looking at houses.
I mean, I enjoy that because I've also in the past have had expectations of how a date night should be.
Yeah.
You know, where you have this, and this planned out, and it just
those are fun. They can be, but like it's so much more fun when we can just like do whatever and see where the night leads us.
Expectations are just not my thing.
They suck. Okay. What are you listening to in the gym?
Lately, I've been listening to like I'll go to Korn radio, like some like early 2000s rock, and just have it, let it have it. Or I just don't listen to music at all. I listen to whatever the gym is playing.
Our gym plays decent music most of the time. We train together a lot too, so we just like to like talk and like be present too. And so we're not listening to music unless like the music in the gym sucks, because sometimes it does.
Yeah.
So that's like the time where we'll both like agree like, okay, let's put our headphones on. Or if we're training separately. And if we're training separately or if I have my earphones on, I'm usually listening to either like, it's like a big range, but I'll listen to like some funk or soul, like James Brown or something like that. Or I'll be listening to like emo pop punk music, like Blink-182.
Yeah.
Like super different.
Yeah, I'm either like the early 2000s rock or, you know, like some like
rap,
hood
like
rap.
Yeah.
And I also just sometimes don't listen to music, like I said, because I like to be approachable.
Yeah, that's true.
And just talk to people. I know likes to talk to people at the gym, but I don't mind.
Yeah. And you've helped me become more approachable too, and like
it's a great place to network.
To do that.
And it's like the way I look at it is, if I'm going to be at a place, you know, 5 days of the week and see the same people, I want to know who these people are.
Yeah, especially because like networking can be so powerful. Not just like for business reasons, obviously that's a big part of it, but also just like making friends.
Making friends. Yeah. Adults are so closed off to making friends. Like it's so good to know people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next question.
What do you listen to outside of the gym?
A lot of podcasts. I've been listening to Elevation Worship podcast recently. Just Stephen Furtick's sermons. I'll listen to some outlaw country, a lot of Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings. I try to listen to Texas country, but a lot of the new stuff is just like sad boy country anymore. And like, it's good music, don't get me wrong, just not feeling it. That's it. Sometimes I catch myself driving in silence, listening to my loud ass truck, just the tires on the road.
Yeah. I like to listen to Alex or Layla Hormozi podcasts, Modern Wisdom. You sent me that, was it Stephen Furtick thing the other day? I like that. Yeah, just podcasts. I try to listen to more things that will like help me as a business owner or help me just like with my own mind and how I think and see the world, rather than, I think like several years ago, I listened to a lot more like sciencey or like bodybuilding or physique science and exercise science type radio or things. And I learn now, but in other ways, like with coursework and stuff like that. If I listen to a podcast, I just want to listen to a podcast and not try to like learn specific things that I would have to take notes on. So you should take this and we should switch.
Describe your dream home.
Wow. Definitely it has a big tree in the front yard. There's a dog wash for all three of these dogs. It's like, I really like the mid-century modern kind of design and look. And so a mid-century modern, but not like a super old house. I'd probably want something a little newer and just like more updated so it doesn't have as many issues, I guess. Moody colors and like not everything white. Moody colors, really like pretty tiles in the bathrooms, just like different type of decor, not just like your standard like all gray or white or whatever.
Yeah, like dark colors. I've seen, obviously it's trending right now for people to color splash.
Color drench.
Yeah. That's the word.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool, and especially a lot of the more ornate trim that people are putting on the walls, and like just going back to older styles. I like that. I like big windows, a lot of natural light, and just ambient lighting.
But we want like lighting. Hiding spaces too.
Yeah, I always thought it was so cool. Like old houses have a lot of little nooks and hiding spots. And, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Next question.
Best and worst parts of our jobs / businesses.
Best would be just like helping people change their lives, and not just like their physical selves, but their like their actual lives. Like when I hear about a client who like set a strong boundary at work or with her family or something like that, and how much it improved her sense of self and well-being and confidence, and then like how that has a ripple effect and changes so much else about their lives, like that's fucking cool to me. And I just love hearing that and like watching people like break past their own potential. And I get to like see that in their pictures and on stage, but also just read it in their check-ins. And then the worst part is probably like almost the opposite, which is like watching people just kind of waste their potential.
Like self-destruct.
Self-destruct, like I see a lot of people like kind of get in their head about bodybuilding, like, oh, should I be this extreme? Should I do this? Or like they take it too seriously to the point where like they just kind of cripple themselves with like whether it's self-doubt or anxiety or stress over being perfect or something like that. And I just like that's been a big mission of mine lately, is just trying to show people that it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
Because it's hard watching people like just give up on themselves and their goals.
I think everyone kind of goes through that at some point in their bodybuilding, regardless of how serious they take it. You know, there's a lot of contemplation because it is a lot of sacrifice, and not every moment of it's going to be this high. You know, you're going to have lows, which the lows they don't have to be drastic. Nothing has to provoke them like an injury or anything. It can just be like strictly mentally. But even during those times is whenever, you know, you can just start wondering like, why the hell am I doing this? Because it's essentially like a, you know, a lifetime commitment to get from point A to point Z in the best you can possibly be. And it's a daily work. And, you know, I can think back and just know that like, over time, since day one until now, I've just gotten better at what I do. But I definitely have had times, or I think everyone has the time where, you know, you expect perfection out of yourself, but that's just not realistic.
Doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah. So is that the best and worst part of your job?
The best part of my job is, there's a few best parts. You know, I've really, really enjoyed helping people and working with sellers, or, you know, being able to accomplish, whether it's a seller or a buyer, there's a common objective there, and being able to help them accomplish that is really awesome. I also just love the adrenaline rush that comes with sales. That's fun. You know, lately I've been in this flip property and seeing it come to life and seeing my vision and seeing my kind of like passion evolve into more of like a development building standpoint has been really cool, because it's just something I never thought would ever be me. But it's fun because it's like a way for me to be creative, because I've always been a creative person, but I've definitely had times in my life where that creativity is kind of buried, because of just like what I'm doing, you know.
You've never really had a job before this where you were able to be fully creative and like expressive.
Yeah.
So I think it took a while to just like kind of let that come out, and then just betting on yourself, watching you bet on yourself more with like this flip property and like other projects and stuff like that has been cool, because like what you once thought like even just a year ago wasn't even possible, or maybe was like way far in your future, now it's real and you're like getting to do it, and it's hard, but it's like it's much more gratifying because you're doing it and you didn't think you would.
Yeah, that's cool. I've definitely felt what it feels like to kind of lose everything. So my risk tolerance is really high. And I know at this point in my life that if I want anything that is worth achieving, worth going after, then I got to go in on it.
Yeah.
You know, and not just like the cliche bullshit. If you want something, you got to get it. Like, really, you got to be willing to do some things that are very uncomfortable.
Spending a lot of money.
It doesn't get more comfortable.
You get better at handling it. Your capacity grows.
You learn how to handle it, and you just expect it. You expect it to suck.
And then it won't suck as bad.
And I guess the worst part, I would say, has just been like, honestly, like the growing pains. I mean, that has been really good, but it's painful because, you know, I've had this conversation recently with a couple people, and I think our younger self thinks that there's a threshold or a point we reach in life where everything is just good. Like, we got it all figured out. We're here. We made it. Life is easy. You know, we wake up, we go about our day, go to bed. Life's good. But really, it just gets harder and harder. And it's like that threshold just like continues. Like if you're pushing that boundary, it's just going to keep moving, you know? You keep getting closer to it.
You never have it fully figured out.
And then you learn more about yourself. You learn more about what you're doing. And, you know, you just...
And a new challenge comes up.
Yeah, a new challenge. And then you push that one. And then you push that. And you push that. And you push that. And it's just like you're uncovering all these layers to yourself that you'd never ever would have imagined, and it's just constant discomfort, but you improve at the same time to just be able to just handle it and manage it and grow from it, learn from it. So that's the worst part, but it's also a really good thing. It's a great thing.
Next question.
What's the biggest challenge you've navigated in the relationship?
I don't know. I feel like we resolve any conflict that we do have really pretty effectively. Like we're both really strong on like communicating and being vulnerable, and like the value of just like me communicating my needs because I know they're important, and you like listen to that, and vice versa. And so like, yeah, sometimes we'll have like little conflicts or disagreements or whatever, but I just feel like we navigate them so well so they never like last or linger, and it's like both of our goals to always make sure they don't linger or last very long.
Yeah, there's just like really nothing in a relationship or in this world that's just worth losing your peace, because it's like at the end of the day, like if I didn't have you, I want to be confident enough that I can be cool on my own, that like I'm good.
Yeah,
you know, not in in like this state where I'm reliant on like an emotional piece from you, which I don't know, that might be like perceived wrong.
no, I don't think so. Like you should be able to like be your own person.
Yeah.
At the same time as being in a relationship with a solid other person, that person should be their own person too. Because if there's any level of like true dependency where one person depends on the other for happiness, love, whatever,
that's what it is. It's an emotional dependency.
Yeah.
Which, yes, we are very like emotionally integrated, but
it's integrated. It's not dependent where like I need you to function or you need me to function. It's like we appreciate each other, but we're not like dependent.
Yeah, and I think that just comes from a state of knowing yourself, being confident in who you are as an individual.
I think both of us kind of had that period of time before we met where we like found that for ourselves in a big way, like me finding myself really figuring out like who I am, what are my values just as a person, much less like what are my values in a relationship. And then we both, I think you were doing the same kind of soul searching and like just figuring it out. And then when we came together, we just happened to be at a place where we could like continue that journey, but together and like for each other and help each other through some of that soul searching too.
Yeah. Yeah, needless to say, people really overcomplicate relationships.
Yeah.
And I think that just comes from a projection. Anyways, next question. What is the other person's biggest strength?
So what's your biggest strength? I think your biggest strength is just like your passion, how much you love and how much you care, just in general, not just like in our relationship.
I give a shit.
Yeah, you give a shit.
I give a shit.
And like you give a shit about like the quality. Like, you know, I see that in our relationship a lot. Like we have a lot of similar values in just like how we want things to go and how we want to feel and be, and that piece that you talked about. But I see it also like in your work, like you have a really strong like sense of what quality is. And so like with this flip that we're both invested on, that we have other people invested on, like it's important that it's quality, so it all works out the way it needs to, and it makes us the money that we need it to make it. And that makes like for hard conversations that you have to have with people and like spending money and stuff like that, but like it's all really important. So like you giving a shit, just like it has an umbrella ripple effect over like everything that you do.
Yeah, I don't know, I've always been very prideful in my work and what I do. So that's where that comes from. I would say your biggest strength is probably your mindset and your ability to relay that and voice that to other people in a way that people can understand and digest it. That's helped me a lot. Obviously, I hear you talking to your clients. It helps them a lot. And, you have a lot of friends and even family that console into you, ask you questions and ask you for your perspective and your feedback because they value it. And I think that's really cool. Biggest gym pet peeve or annoyance?
I don't know. There's so many like little things, but I guess like people just being rude and weird. Just like I don't get a lot of this because we're usually at the gym together, but like people just being weird and saying weird shit and not like reading the room when they're talking to you. Like, you know, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, like
Just
I'll
like,
just give this example because it's a story that I can tell in the podcast. I don't care. But like I had this guy come up to me and you were like right behind me and like the guy came up to me and said like, "Do you ever leave?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, I see you here all the time. Whenever I'm here, I always see you. I'm like, I'm here at the
my
same
first
time.
thought was like, do you go more times than I go?
Yeah,
I
but
was
like
confused.
literally when he's not at the gym or like when I'm home, he's home. So like he always knows where I am pretty much. And we go to the gym together almost every day. So it was just weird that the guy asked me that. And then I was like, "No, I'm at home in the mornings. I'm."
And then he's like,
Oh yeah.
you like working out here because you're the biggest girl here.
Yeah. I'm like, "No, I just like working out here. Like that's it. I just like this gym." He's like, "No, you go here just because you're the biggest girl in the gym." I'm like, "No, I'm not like I am, but I don't go." I didn't say that, but like I don't go here for that reason. And it was just like a weird exchange and then he kind of tried to like I think backtrack a little bit because he realized that it was weird.
It was just very uncomfortable.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
just shit like that. That's what I don't like is people being weird.
I don't really have many other than when people don't like to share equipment and like
Yeah.
allow you to work in. If you have like one more set, all right, finish up. I know how to work in with somebody. I'm not going to come in here and like derail your workout and like adjust everything and change, the handle or grip, whatever. Like, I'm
You're
not
going to be
going to do that.
respectful. Yeah.
I'm only going to work in with you if like I see it to be universal. And so, like, same my first rodeo, like, let me work in with you.
Yeah. But people are weird. Next question.
Piece of advice you've given someone recently.
I feel like I give a lot of advice all day, every day. um, Something recent is just like to have patience and take your time because I think a lot of people, especially like people I talk to every day, are so incredibly just impatient and they want to get everywhere really fast. Like, if you're, as an example, if you're a girl that wants to compete in wellness, but you've only been training for like a year or something, like you're not competing and being competitive for like a long time. So maybe you want to start a little like something a little bit more attainable or just be extremely patient and learn to love what you're doing because it's going to take a long time to get there. So that's my biggest like piece of advice that I've given recently that I think I give a lot is just the patience aspect of everything, but specifically bodybuilding.
I can't think of anything I've told anybody recently, but I'll tell y'all right now off the top is just like, don't be afraid to fail because there's a lot to discover and learn in failure. You learn about more about yourself because you'll put yourself in very vulnerable positions where you have nobody but to rely on but yourself, your own mental fortitude, your own mental strength, and through that, that's when you start to develop really good habits, waking up at a certain time, eating right, eating well for yourself, working out, reading, just processing the allowing the thoughts in your mind to serve you well, and not allowing any like negativity in your mind and like being the first filter of your own thoughts is a very hard thing, especially when you're in like a really hard place. And so there's a lot to learn. I'm not saying like go put yourself in a place like that intentionally. That sounds terrible. But
But when you're in it, like embrace it and learn from it because that's the only way out of it or through it.
yeah, I know this sounds really morbid, but I feel like there's like a lot of peace in dying. And like that's just like knowing that one day everything, any stress or any problems will just be gone is just like, is a peaceful thought. So it's like, just knowing that this life is not forever. Just fucking live it.
Yeah, live it and
Try
just
things.
do.
Fail.
It doesn't matter if something fails because like you're gonna survive it. I think I've said that today. I think like whatever you're going through right now, as bad as it feels, as terrible as it is, like you don't have to downplay it, but you can look at it and say like it's going to be okay, because think about anything else you've been through before that sucked and you thought it was the end of the world and you still made it through and you're surviving enough to like think about it now. So whatever it is you're going through right now or what you'll go through in the future, you're going to be able to overcome it.
Yeah, and the cool thing is like if you're not a spiritual person, or like believe in God, like I look back at my life, all the recap of my life from like basically, from the time I was a kid, just how I was brought up, circumstances in my childhood to, things that happened in college to getting my first, big boy job to where I'm at now, and just thinking like all of it played out and happened perfectly. And was it all great? No, definitely not. But looking back, it's like I'm very grateful for it, and I appreciate all the things that happened and why they happened, and I understand them. And it's like that's why I have a leaning into with God, because it's all too perfect for there not to be just a greater plan. And so when you believe in that, where the mind goes, like they say, where the mind goes, the body will follow. Like I fully believe that in so many ways, other than just like a physical realm.
Yeah, definitely. I think like anything, if you could look back at anything good that happened in your life, you can like trace it back probably to something negative that happened in your life, something that was really hard for you to go through. But since you grew through it, something else positive happened. Doesn't make the original negative thing, like maybe someone passing away or getting arrested or, something terrible happening in your life, doesn't mean it wasn't bad. It just means that it acted as some sort of a catalyst or setup for something bigger and better.
If
And
you choose it to be a
yeah,
catalyst,
yeah,
there's
exactly.
a lot of action, there's a lot of bullshit and just like waiting and wishing for things. And
People hold themselves back too because one bad thing happens. You stub your toe in the morning and you could make that whole day be a shitty day. Or you could stub your toe and just like get over it and like move on in the day. And like there's other worse things that can happen in a day that sure could derail your whole day or even your week, but like you're the one choosing to make that happen.
yeah, comes down to the mind. The mind is a very powerful tool.
Yeah, it is.
Very, very powerful. And like as great as it can be just as detrimental.
Don't let it hold you back.
Any other questions or thoughts that come to mind?
Not really. I can't think of anything.
Are you a sports fan?
I'm not a sports fan. I don't know anything about sports.
Yeah, I've never watched football so less in my life since I've been with Rachel. I like football. I appreciate the sport. It's cool, whatever. But like,
But what is the takeaway?
I don't have any
that?
interest in it right now because it's just like it's time that I don't have to spend on that. And like, if I have free time, I don't want to just be using that free time watching a sport through the TV.
Yeah. That you have no control over, and whether they win or lose doesn't change anything about your life.
It doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
Unless you made a big bet on something, then that could change.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, we don't do that.
What else?
Are you excited to start your prep?
I start prep in a week from tomorrow. This will be the first time in 4 years. 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
2021.
which is kind of interesting because I'm about 27 to 30 pounds lighter
Than when you last started
than
your
when
prep.
I last started my prep.
But you're a lot denser and bigger.
Yeah. I'm 17 pounds heavier right now than my stage weight in my last prep. Only 17 pounds.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I'll probably compete lighter than I did 4 years ago, but I'll be just bigger and better.
Shredder.
So I'm excited. Yeah. Mark, if you're watching this,
He's
don't
not
hold
watching
back.
this.
Don't hold back.
What's something you want to accomplish in this prep outside of just like, yeah, you're going to get a pro card, you're going to win your show?
I'm really just like watching you prep really set a standard for me, and my mindset between the last 4 years between now and then is also just so much different too. Like, and that was part of the reason I took time off from competing, because I was just like, I got to a place where I was just burnt out with it. And to be honest, I'd never, after my last show, I had kind of made my peace with bodybuilding, thinking like, all right, I'm good. I've done enough shows. Like, it was fun. But those last 4 years, I've had a mindset shift around food and training and everything that's involved with that goes into bodybuilding. And I see it more as a part of who I am now than it was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, it was just like this thing I had to do to be, my best on stage. Now it's just what I do to be my best on stage, or just to be my best, period.
Yeah.
Because the things that I do now that encompass bodybuilding, the diet, training, just being active with or without competing, just make me a better person.
The discipline really does like show you so much about yourself and show you so much more of like what you can do. I found like in my prep last year, I was like, obviously it was my most successful prep I've ever had, and I looked exactly how I wanted to look and even more. And it was cool because like at the same time, I got to level up in so many other areas of my life. Like I had you, and like I had the anchor of our relationship, and I had my business, and my business grew a lot. My clients all leveled up in big ways. Like I got just like I achieved a lot, and there were definitely days where I was just like, wow, what the fuck? I have so much to do. Like, this is really hard. Or, like, I'm so tired. But, like, I was never mad about it. I was always just like, I focused on being grateful for the challenge that I had of like finishing check ins for the day, or like getting to the gym on time, or just like whatever the challenge would be. I just like focused on gratitude. And that like really showed me the power of that, and showed me the power of like my own mind, and how well like I can do everything I want to do, and I do it my way so that it works for me, not how it might work for anybody else. And that was like, that's been something that has helped me so much just achieve the success, but also like the mental health at the same time. So many bodybuilders, competitors will like achieve success, but at the cost of their mental health.
Yeah.
And I chose really early on in my competing career that I would never do that, and that I would always try to like become better in some way as a person, while also becoming better as a bodybuilder.
Yeah, I think like when your days are extremely regimented and you have these boxes to check for your day-to-day routines for prep, your steps, your macros, what diet, whatever it may be, your workouts, your cardio, it gives you less time in the day.
Yeah.
Because if you have, if you're gonna add in some, posing training for half an hour, and an hour and a half of cardio, and whatever else it may be, and then also getting in steps, which like requires a lot of intentionality. I don't know if that's an actual word, but
Intention is just, that's it.
yeah. So like you have less time in the day to do other things, so it just like makes you double down on the time you have to be productive.
Yeah.
Which is like, I'm looking forward to that, because I just think like every time I prepped, it's always been a good, not a reset, but a kind of like, it almost like just was a thing that allowed me to get ahead.
Yeah. It's like a reminder of how well you can possibly time manage things. Yeah. Like I would be amazed sometimes at like how much I got done in a day, just because like I knew I had to get it done, or else like I wouldn't die, but like I needed to get it done, because like I have to show up for my clients. I have to show up for you. I have to show up for like the dogs. Like all of these little things have to happen in order for me to like continue to know that I'm being my best and doing my best. And then like as long as I can keep watching myself go through that and achieve things, and also succeed at bodybuilding, I'm like, well, I can keep going. I can go harder. I can go longer, whatever.
Yeah. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I am. It was great whenever you were in prep and made me food. You don't make me food no more.
Yeah, I do.
No, it's different. It's different.
In prep, I would sometimes just like make something that sounded really good to me that I knew he would like and he would eat, because he gets kind of like bored or like just
I was eating all the
burnt out
food.
from all the food he was eating. Because like at a
I
certain
did.
point when you're eating so much, it doesn't really matter. Like you can have a flexible meal and still be okay. So
Yeah.
I'd make that. And I mean, I'll help you with your food, but I'm not going to be like making crazy macro creations for you.
Nah, I don't need that.
Yeah.
I don't need all that.
What else?
That's all I've got. Unless you can think of anything.
I can't think of anything. I'm hungry. Now we're talking about food.
All right.
Gotta make some cornbread chicken.
Bread chicken. You should make a video about that.
I'll make a video about my cornbread chicken.
It's going to be called cornbread chicken?
It's cornflake chicken. It's not actually cornbread chicken.
But it's like breaded dough with cornflake.
Yeah, it's cornflake chicken. But we call it cornbread chicken because it sounds better. Especially, you got to say it like that too. Cornbread chicken. All right, cornbread chicken out.